The coffee maker was doing its usual morning thing, hissing and bubbling like always, while my eyes followed the same familiar path they'd been tracing for years. From the edge of the kitchen counter to the wooden dining table, then over to those off-white curtains swaying gently from the breeze sneaking in through a cracked window. It was routine, safe, predictable. At least that's what I thought. "Morning," came her voice from behind me. It was soft, smooth, almost too smooth. That was Rachel, my wife. She pressed a kiss to my cheek, but it barely registered. Just skin on skin, no warmth, no pause. Like muscle memory. Habit, not affection. She passed by in her usual work getup, pencil skirt, fitted blouse, heels clicking like a countdown. "Big day?" I asked, trying to sound upbeat while sipping my coffee. That word tasted more bitter than the drink. "Always," she said without even glancing up from her phone. That word used to mean something else. Now, it felt heavier, like it carried a secret. Her thumbs were flying across the screen, typing faster than I'd ever seen her reply to my texts. I took another drink and let the bitterness settle. Something had changed between us. It wasn't always like this. There was a time when she'd sit next to me, tracing lazy circles on my wrist while we talked about dinner plans or some random dream she'd had. Nothing deep. Just connection. Now there was nothing. Silence had replaced conversation, and when she did talk, it sounded scripted. Mechanical. Like she was playing a role she didn't believe in anymore. My eyes drifted to the wedding photo still hanging on the wall. Her smile used to be so real back then, eyes shining, face lit up like she actually meant it. I had my arm around her like I was scared she'd disappear. Maybe she already had. "Don't forget we're having dinner with the Thompsons on Friday," I mentioned, not expecting a response. "Friday," she echoed, still glued to her phone. "Oh yeah, sure." Her thumb paused for half a second, then flicked to the side. I caught a glimpse of something, maybe a photo or a message, but she turned the screen just slightly out of my view. She'd never done that before. Not until recently. Still, I didn't say a word. I told myself it was nothing. Just me overthinking. Maybe I was hitting some midlife paranoia. But in the back of my mind, something primal was stirring. That gut instinct I'd spent years sharpening in my job as a data analyst. It was twitching. "I'll be home late," she added, grabbing her purse. "HR onboarding. New hires." I gave her a slow nod. "Of course." Then the door shut behind her. Just like that, she was gone. The only thing left was the silence. Birds were chirping outside. A lawn mower roared to life a few houses down. The world kept spinning, totally oblivious to the cracks spreading through my marriage like a windshield hit by a stone. I sat down at the table and stared at her untouched coffee. Steam still curled up from the mug like a ghost leaving a dead body. There wasn't a fight. No dramatic reveal. No affair thrown in my face. Just this eerie emptiness. Like a DVD stuck on the same scene. The same smiles. The same lines. Everything perfectly rehearsed. I finished my coffee, set the mug down, and exhaled. Something was off. And if I really wanted answers, I had to stop pretending everything was fine. Deep down, I already knew. We weren't in love anymore. We were just playing pretend. I've never been the type of guy who snoops. Rachel and I always kept our digital lives separate. Her laptop, my phone, different accounts, different playlists. It wasn't distance. It was just mutual respect. Or at least I thought it was. But that morning, something changed. Her laptop was sitting open on the kitchen counter, screen glowing softly like it was waiting for me. I didn't go looking for anything. I swear I didn't. I just happened to glance over as I passed, and that's when I saw it. One message. Just one. "Last night was even better than the time before. I can still feel you." Sent by someone named Steve M. 9:04 a.m. It hit me like a punch to the chest. The fridge hummed louder. The ticking wall clock felt like it was slamming in my ears. I just stood there, frozen. Steve M. I knew that name. Steve was in logistics. Funny guy. Always cracking jokes in meetings. Married, with 3 kids. The kind of guy who complimented Rachel's presentations just a little too enthusiastically. I used to think he was harmless. I was wrong. I didn't slam the laptop shut. Didn't even touch the screen. I just closed it gently, like I was sealing away a dangerous chemical. Then I went upstairs. Changed my shirt, went for the beige one instead of my usual white. Just to see if she'd notice. She didn't. All day, that message echoed in my head. Even better than the time before. Time before. So this wasn't a one-time thing. This was something else. Something that had a history. I found myself scrolling through our old wedding photos on my phone during lunch. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted to remember who we used to be. Maybe I was searching for a reason to believe that what I saw was some horrible mistake. But when I looked at those photos now, something was off. I still looked happy. But her smile felt practiced. Like she was already halfway gone. That afternoon, I told my boss I had a migraine and left work early. Not exactly a lie. The pressure behind my eyes felt like a drumbeat, steady and relentless. I parked at the grocery store and just sat there. Watched people come and go. Some guy dropped an orange, didn't even notice it rolled under my car. That orange just sat there, like it belonged there. Like me. Forgotten. When I got home, the house was quiet. Rachel's car wasn't in the driveway, and weirdly, that brought a sense of relief. And something else. Something I wasn't ready to name yet. I wandered into the living room and collapsed on the couch. The TV was paused on a nature doc she'd been watching, frame frozen on a lioness ripping into a gazelle. I stared at it longer than I should have. Later that night, she came home. "Hey, babe," she said, setting her purse down, voice light. "Long day. I'm starving." She kissed me on the head like always. I didn't move. "Steve called today," I said, nice and easy, wanted help with the quarterly report. She froze for just a second, barely noticeable, but I caught it. "Oh yeah," she said, moving toward the kitchen. "That guy's hopeless with numbers." "Funny though," I added. She chuckled. "Yeah. He's a mess." That was it. No stumble. No visible panic. She played it cool. But I'd cast the line. She didn't even ripple. That night, lying in bed next to her, I stared up at the ceiling while she faced the wall, curled up like always. Her body used to lean into mine. Now she hugged the edge of the mattress like I wasn't even there. And yet, I didn't feel rage. I felt alert. Like something in me had finally woken up. I glanced at her silhouette, framed by the hallway light. She was still beautiful. But not mine. Not really. Like a painting in a gallery. Someone else's now. I closed my eyes and told myself the truth. Tomorrow, I'd stop pretending. Tomorrow, I'd start watching. The next morning, I left the house 10 minutes earlier than usual. Just 10. Nothing that would set off alarms. I still kissed Rachel on the cheek, still told her that necklace looked nice, even though I had no memory of ever buying it. I smiled like everything was normal. Like I wasn't already pulling at the loose thread in the fabric of our life. But I didn't go to work. Not right away. Instead, I parked 2 blocks away from our house and waited. Watched. At exactly 8:02, her car backed out of the driveway. Same time as always. Nothing unusual about that. But then she turned left. Her office. That was to the right. She didn't see me following. I hung back, giving enough space to stay invisible. My hands were sweating on the steering wheel, and I hated that. I felt like some sad character in a bad spy movie, trailing his cheating wife through the suburbs. But this wasn't paranoia anymore. I needed proof. She pulled into this boutique coffee shop on the edge of town. One of those hipster places with ivy crawling up the walls and a chalkboard sign that said something dumb like, "Espresso yourself." I parked across the street and lowered my seat. Windows tinted just enough to give me cover. A few minutes later, a silver Lexus pulled up. And there he was. Steve. Tall, confident, that casual business but not too business look. They didn't hug. Didn't kiss. Just nodded and went inside. But I've been reading people for a living for years. That nod. It was loaded. It said we've done this before. They were smart enough not to sit near the windows. So I waited. 20 minutes passed. Then 30. Finally, they came back out, laughing. Rachel touched Steve's arm, just a quick graze, and he returned it with a hand on her back as she stepped off the curb. I watched her flinch when strangers touched her for years. But not with him. That's when I pulled out my phone and started recording. Nothing dramatic. Just a calm little video. Zoomed in, time-stamped. Their faces. Their cars. Their smiles. Not for blackmail. Not for court. For me. For the version of me that still clung to denial. That night, she was almost cheerful. More affection than she'd shown in months. Poured me wine. Laughed at my dumb jokes. Smelled like some new perfume, citrus and vanilla. I didn't ask where she got it. I already knew. "Remember that jazz bar we used to go to?" she asked over dinner, smiling like nothing had shifted in our universe. "Yeah," I said, sipping my drink. "We should go again. Just us." "That'd be nice," she said, reaching for my hand. Her fingers touched mine, but didn't squeeze. It was a performance. A good one. But I knew the script now. And every beat felt fake. The next day, I checked her calendar. The shared one we both used for grocery lists, dentist appointments, stupid things like that. She had a late meeting scheduled. New hire onboarding, 5 p.m. At 5:13 p.m., she was walking into a hotel. I didn't follow her in. I didn't need to. I was parked across the lot, camera steady in my hand, lens trained on the entrance like I'd done this 100 times before. I watched her fix her blouse in the reflection of the car window. Watched her glance around, quick, nervous, and head inside. 5 minutes later, Steve followed. I didn't record them together inside. Didn't have to. I had what I needed. Instead, I stared at the driver's seat of her car. Her lemon-scented air freshener swaying gently from the mirror. Her tote bag in the back seat. Her cardigan crumpled on the passenger side like she'd just tossed it there without a second thought. That was her second life. A place where I didn't exist. It wasn't just sex. It was erasure. She hadn't cheated on me. She'd cut me out of her story. That night, when she came home, she looked relaxed. Not suspicious, not edgy. Just kind of exhausted in that way people are after getting what they wanted. "Long day," she said, kicking off her heels like nothing mattered. "Those new hires are like babysitting adults." I smiled gently. "You're good at it." She kissed the side of my head. "You're sweet." And just like that, she floated upstairs, humming. I sat on the couch, pulled out my phone, and created a folder. Named it, Rachel, Day 1. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do yet, but I knew one thing. I wasn't going to keep pretending I didn't see it. Later that night, after she'd fallen asleep, light breathing, turned away from me, same as always, I got up and opened our wedding album. We hadn't touched it in years. It was shoved into the bottom drawer of the armoire, smelling faintly of dust and cedar. I turned the pages slowly under the soft glow of my reading lamp. There we were. Our wedding day. Her white dress, my tux. That vineyard in early October, the wind playing with her hair, the way she smiled as I tried to tuck a strand behind her ear. All of it captured like a time capsule from a life we no longer lived. One photo stopped me cold. Us walking down the aisle after saying our vows, flower petals falling around us. I was beaming, open, joyful, unguarded. Her smile looked perfect, but something was off. A little tension in her jaw. Her eyes, distant. Had that been there the whole time? Or was I just now seeing it? I closed the album. Went back to my phone. The folder was still open. Day 1. Day 2. Day 3. Notes. License plates. Timelines. Photos. Video. I hadn't become obsessed. I had finally woken up. For years I had lived inside this soft, warm bubble of assumption. Of faith. Of, it could never happen to me. No. Now I was stepping outside that lie. The truth wasn't loud. It didn't come crashing down. It arrived quietly. Like a curtain being pulled back, letting in a light that burned. After that night, something inside me just clicked. I didn't rage. Didn't confront. Didn't demand anything. Instead, I smiled more. I brought home her favorite snacks, complimented her outfits. I even started texting her during the day, cute little things I hadn't sent in years. Hope your day's going great. Thinking of you. Can't wait for the weekend. She replied quickly, like always. You're the best. Miss you too. Yellow heart emoji. Smiling face. But now I knew what was behind those little bubbles of fake affection. And my responses? They weren't affection anymore. They were chess moves. The thing is, I knew how her company worked. I knew the policies. The ethics handbook. The kinds of things HR really cares about when it's written on paper, not whispered in back offices. So I started planting seeds. Quietly. Precisely. It began with a simple whisper in the break room to no one in particular. Hey, did you hear they're doing a compliance review? Then I filed a few anonymous reports. Just observations. One spreadsheet of Rachel's logged absences. 2 suspicious calendar overlaps. A blurry clip of her walking with Steve near the Rosewell Inn. No accusations. Just evidence without context. Let people connect their own dots. 3 days later, Steve was called into a surprise meeting with upper management. I watched him from down the hall, his usual swagger gone, shoulders stiff, sweat breaking through his button-down like the office had turned tropical. I didn't grin. I didn't even blink. I sipped my coffee and went back to my desk. By the end of the day, the whispers had turned into static. Did you hear? I thought they were just friends. She always was kinda close to him. Wait. HR's investigating HR. And me. I stayed silent. That night, Rachel came home a little more drained than usual. Moved slower. Took longer hanging up her coat, like it suddenly weighed more. I was in the kitchen cooking, pasta night, her favorite. You okay? I asked, back turned, stirring sauce. Yeah, she said quickly, a little too upbeat. Just a weird day. The office felt off. Oh, I said, still stirring. Someone said there's a surprise audit coming. I turned around, calm. Really? Haven't done one of those in years. She laughed nervously. Right. Just randomly happening out of nowhere. I smiled at her. Maybe someone finally pushed the wrong button. She looked at me for a second too long. Then nodded. Yeah, maybe. The next day, I sent the final report. Just one line, submitted anonymously. Is it considered a conflict of interest for someone in HR to have a romantic relationship with a subordinate employee? I didn't give her name. Didn't have to. Her department was small. Only 6 people. 3 were women. 2 were openly gay. 1 was on maternity leave. That left exactly 1 name. Later that week, I watched her open the email from across the room. Saw her eyebrows twitch. That micro-freeze. Her face didn't crack, but something behind her eyes did. Everything all right? I asked from the couch, flipping a page in my book like I hadn't seen a thing. She looked up too fast. Yeah. Just a schedule update. Nothing big. You want me to take a look? No, it's fine. She locked her phone like it burned her fingers. I could feel the calculations starting behind her smile. She was sharp. Sharp enough to know the walls were starting to close in. But not sharp enough to see who was building them. Not yet. By the end of that week, her world had already started to unravel. 2 of her closest coworkers stopped saying hi to her in the break room. Steve barely looked in her direction anymore. 1 woman she used to gossip with over lunch started leaving early, every day, without saying goodbye. Rachel came home like someone playing a role in a play she wasn't even cast in. Her energy was off. Forced. Smiles that stretched too wide. Laughter that came too fast. She kept touching my hand at dinner. Asking about my day like she cared again. I poured her wine. Lit candles. Played soft jazz in the background. I needed this, she said, her fingers resting on mine. I know, I said, voice steady. Calm. Measured. She stared at me like she was trying to see something she'd missed. She had no idea she was sitting across from the man quietly dismantling her life, brick by brick. Then came the email. It hit her inbox at exactly 8:17 a.m. Internal HR review. Please report to conference room B at 8:30 a.m. No explanation. No warning. I'd already left for work. Same routine as always. Coffee mug, kiss on the cheek. Have a great day, I told her, like I meant it. And by 8:32, while I was sipping coffee at my desk upstairs, she was 3 floors down, sitting in a glass-walled room across from a panel of people she used to work with, wondering how the hell it had all gone sideways. I could see it in my head like a movie. Her perfectly put-together outfit, her confident smile starting to falter, her eyes trying to calculate just how deep the damage went. By lunchtime, the rumors were wildfire. Did you hear? Rachel from HR? She's under review. Wait, what? But she ran HR. She and Steve? I mean, I always thought something was off. I didn't say a word. That night, she came home with a smile so fake it should have been sold with a barcode. Surprise audit today, she chirped. Totally random. I looked up from my laptop. Wow. Sounds stressful. She poured water with shaking hands. It's fine. I'm clean. Too fast. Too loud. No one who's actually clean says it like that. That night she went to bed early. Claimed she was tired. But at 11:06 p.m., I saw her downstairs through the hallway shadows, standing by the window with her phone pressed to her ear, whispering into the dark like it could save her. I didn't need to hear it. I knew what she was saying. I don't know how they found out. You said it would be private. Weren't we careful? No. You were comfortable. And comfort breeds mistakes. The next morning, she left before sunrise. No makeup. No earrings. Hair pulled tight like armor. She didn't say goodbye. At 9:12 a.m., the company sent out the email. Rachel Miller has been placed on administrative leave pending the results of an internal HR investigation. No explanation. No apology. Just gone. When I got home that night, the house was dark. Quiet. Her car was in the driveway, but she didn't come downstairs. I found her sitting on the edge of the bed, still in her work clothes, staring into nothing. I'm being set up, she whispered. I sat down across from her, calm as ever. You think someone's targeting you? She nodded, slowly. Any idea why? She didn't answer. If you didn't do anything wrong, I said, it'll blow over. She looked at me. And in that moment, I saw it. She knew. She didn't have proof. But she knew. And it terrified her. She stopped opening the curtains. Stopped playing music while she cooked. Stopped wearing heels. Her phone went silent. Her texts unanswered. Her posts ignored. The silence around her life was louder than any argument ever could be. Sometimes she'd ask, "Do you think people are talking about me?" And I'd look up from my book and say, "If you didn't do anything wrong." She'd flinch every time. She tried reaching out. Posted some growth through hardship, inspirational nonsense on Instagram. No likes. No comments. She called Steve. Number disconnected. He was gone too. Eventually, she broke. Not in some big, explosive way. There was no screaming, no door slamming. Just one night, she cooked dinner, lasagna, my favorite. She didn't eat. She sat across from me, watching me chew. "Do you still love me?" she asked quietly. I looked at her, let the silence breathe. I think we both stopped asking that a long time ago. And that was the truth. The next week, the final email came. Termination. No severance. No statement. No goodbye. She stood in the kitchen staring at it on her phone, the screen glowing in the dark like a tombstone. She didn't cry. Just poured a glass of water with shaking hands. I came home later that evening with a cardboard box. "I need some space," I said calmly. "I'll be staying somewhere else for a while." She blinked. "You're leaving?" I nodded. She stepped forward. "But you said you'd never leave me." I looked at her. "I said that to the woman I married. I can fix this. I know I messed up, but we... Don't rewrite it, Rachel. You didn't make a mistake. You made a habit." I picked up the box, turned to the door. "I don't hate you," I said before I left. "I just don't belong in your story anymore." The door clicked shut behind me. No slam. No drama. Just peace. She stayed behind in that house, surrounded by photos she couldn't stand to look at anymore. She threw some of them away. It didn't matter. The memories clung to the walls like ghosts. That night, she sat alone on the couch and turned on an old DVD. The Lake House. A movie she loved, one I always hated. She hit play. It froze. Repeat mode. Same moment. Same smile. Same silence. And she sat there, finally crying, not because she lost her job. Not because people turned away. But because the man who used to love her beyond reason now looked through her like she wasn't even there. And somewhere, not too far away, I slept better than I had in years. I didn't need revenge. I had closure. She had the loop. Forever. Thank you for visited my YouTube channel. Your support, likes, and comments truly inspire me to create even more engaging content. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. You're a part of this amazing community, and I'm thrilled to share my stories with you. See you in the next video on YouTube.